As you know, we removed the tow hook from the truck. That means that now we can't pull our friend's dinkier Unimog, because I know he's very worried about that. So we're gonna have to do something else to make sure that we can pull his truck. Okay, granted, maybe someone needs to pull this one out of a ditch or so too. So the point is that right about there we need to put something to hook onto, i.e. a recovery point, and the same on the other side. The first job I thusly have is to figure out exactly where to position them. The basic conundrum here is that from this point here, the straight outiness hits the tire. So that's not a good situation to be in. I need to come down and potentially out to make sure that we can get past the tire. Now keep in mind also that apart from, you know, towing on a level ground, it is very unlikely that we will be towing a lot up. If the front is up on this truck and it is stuck, then it is most likely that it'll come down easy too. However, if the front is down in a ditch, then the pulling angle will be further down. So that's sort of what I'm tasked with at the moment. Having said that, as much access is a good thing, isn't it? Anyway, let's see what I can come up with and see where this ends up. I need to start thinking. I also need to select the material. A good candidate for material is this 100 by 100 angle iron. I also have some 10mm plate over there that would be very useful for this. I need to make it sturdy, that's for sure. Anyway, I shan't bore you guys with me looking puzzled too much. Back later. I've now had a bit of time to think and to try to figure things out, and I've even made a little bit of a CAD model. I started out by clamping this bar here. That symbolizes the underside of the bars here, which will hopefully be the floor of the box. I then clamped the big square there. That is now parallel with the outside of the tire here. The box will need to have space between the tire and the box. This is just to see where at a push the vertical down would be. Then I clamped a few pieces of steel onto the frame rail, and then I started looking straight back from here, like so. So I came to the conclusion that if the hook was there, it would be okay, albeit a little bit too close, which means that I am going to put the thing a little bit further down. As I have the angle iron, I made this CAD model, and the idea is that this one will go up there, and I can't really show it to you until I start trimming it off, but basically this is 3 pieces of angle iron welded together, not trimmed, and then a flat piece on the top there. And I have hot glued this together, which also gives a little indication of whether this is strong at all. If this would be super flimsy, then the end result in steel would also be super flimsy, but luckily it has got a little bit of strength. So I have made a few design marks on the sides here, and I'm now going to shape it a little bit. You know, the step that I usually do just before finishing a project, making it a little bit pretty. So I want to check that and see if it actually fits in there. So let me get the scissors and the knife, and give me a few moments and I'll be right back with you. After a little bit of zen time with scissors and the knife and the hot glue gun, we now have blue petered this one, and there she is. It looks sort of like that. Yeah. I then took this piece of aluminum and stuck it on there, and the top of the corner there should be the top of the box. So I think that's a fairly steep angle. I think that should be sufficient angle of the dangle to finagle this one out of a ditch. So I guess this is where the YouTube thing is, where you snap your fingers. Oh no, it didn't turn into metal. So I guess back to the real world, and I'll have to make 2 of those, and one needs to be mirrored. Please note that the shape is not final. It's only final when it is final. And even when it's final, I might still change my mind and redo it. I was merrily trying to get these holes onto this piece of steel here, and then I realized, why is this thingy straight down? Why is it not angled towards the hole there, you know, for a little bit extra strength and that sort of stuff. So now I'm changing the plans, and I haven't even started making anything. I've just cut 6 pieces of metal. So yeah, that is the inside of my brain that comes on to the outside sometimes, but yeah. And with that in mind, I'm going to drill a hole in this one and see if it actually would work. If it doesn't work, I'll revert back to the original CAD model. You know, I just have to revert back to the previously saved version and tickety-boo. Let's be very clear here, boys and girls. Recovery can be very dangerous. There's a lot of forces at play. Know what you do before attempting. This is not a how-to video, but more of a this is how we did it video. Do not replicate anything in this video without doing your own research. I'm not a welder, I'm not a professional, don't take my advice. Your safety is your responsibility. Make sure you and everyone else around you are safe at all times. But also, I know the welds are not professional. I admit that I don't get along very well with this MIG welder, but it's what I've got. I've tried to make big welds with a lot of heat in an attempt to make it as safe as possible. It might not look pretty, but I think the welds are strong. Finally, mild steel angle iron is probably not the ideal material, but I think that it's better to have a soft metal that bends rather than breaks in this case. This way I can detect the potential failure before anything bad happens. I've tried to make the recovery points as sturdy as possible without going overboard. They're untested and I know it. Don't do as I do and make sure you are safe. Thank you. During the first day of this project, I managed to cut these 6 pieces of angle iron. They are 100 by 100 by 10 millimeters. So pretty sturdy. I also managed to thread the nuts onto these bolts and drill some holes in these ones and in these ones. These are the ones that go on the underside of the frame, these are the ones that go on the side of the frame, and these are the ones that are going to hold the actual hook. That would be the rearwards direction there. The primary effort for today is to shape these ones to accept the hook. I decided to be not super duper lazy, so here is the bottom part and then this is the side part, and the part that is missing from here is this one, and the idea is that it is going to be welded on like so, and at the bottom there it's going to be the hole for the shackle to do the Yankee thing. Not the doodle, the Yankee. So I need to figure out a shape for this so that it all looks pretty, and maybe it also needs to work. It ain't no Ferrari this now. Let the fabric hobbling resume. This part here is where the hole is going to be for the shackle to come through. So at the moment I have cut up another piece of the angle iron, and I'm now doubling up this so it'll be about 20 millimeters thick. And I've cut grooves in the 2 plates so that I can fill it with a lot of weld. I think 20 millimeters might be okay, but I haven't made up my mind yet, so we might go thicker than that, but we'll see. I now have the extra 10mm plates welded in here. 20mm should be fine, especially as we are doing the center of the hole, about 40mm in, the hole being 25mm, so there should be a good chunk of metal on the side of the hole anyway. Next step is to drill the hole and then shape it. That was quite a while. Good dance with the big angle grinder. It's hard work, that stuff. So anyway, the hook bits are now looking like this, and because I have shaped them to this shape, I have cut away the welding that I did earlier. So I have ground in these big grooves in both of them, and now I need to fill that with weld to regain that strength, and then I need to grind it again. Yeah. Amateur tip: buy the correct material. Okay, lads and lassies, yesterday was a slow but I guess productive day. I shaped the ears for the shackles, and I also cut a bit off there. Oh yeah, and I rounded those bits off. Also, it's quite annoying and time consuming to cut 20mm of steel. The circular metal cutting cordless Makita saw is very good. It goes through this sort of steel like you wouldn't believe it. If you are doing stuff like this and you need to do straight cuts, I highly recommend a metal cutting circular saw. But with the angle grinder, even the big one, you're just basically having a spark shower. Not the kind of My Little Pony ones either, just a horrible, painful shower of glowing sparks. So that means that you have to move around and take things easy, and yeah, just annoying, slow progress. I'm impatient. Today I'm gonna try to gather my brain around what needs to be done, because obviously my head has flushed everything since yesterday, so I need to regroup and do that. But this is how it ended up, and it's looking pretty good. I have welded on these braces here, the triangulations. I'm well aware of that these are now offset from the frame, and they will probably be subject to non-linear tugging. I might weld on more braces, but for now I'm going to weld the underside piece to the drop down piece. I have cut these fairly big grooves in both of them so that the weld can penetrate deeply into the metal, so that it is as strong as possible. And now I'm just gonna blast it with as much welding wire and heat as I can without turning it into a Picasso painting. When that is done, I can cut a straight line from the corner there to the shackle eyelet there. I want it to look pretty, of course, so that's the plan at the moment. I'll be back in a bit. The two parts have now been merged with the hot metal glue gun, and I'm quite pleased with the result. The next step is to make this a straight line, and to aid this little bump there, I have cut this piece here. I'm going to weld this piece in and then cut along the line, so I've left that deliberately oversized so I don't have to grind anything extra about that bit. Doesn't that look much more harmonious? Just what a growing Unimog needs. Anywho, I think I'm now going to attach the uprighty bit onto the underside flat bit thingy, i.e. this surface. I'm going to tack weld them on the truck, so I'm going to mount them on the truck as is, and then I'm going to make sure that everything is in a fairly good situation, and I'm going to drag the welding trolley out there and buzz them in place a little bit there, and then I'll probably take them in here and fully weld them. I thought I'd give you a quick butcher's here before I zeb these ones in place. So this is what it looks like here. I have no idea if you can see anything due to the contrast, but yeah, that sort of thing. So a couple of tack welds and then fully weld them. And have a quick look underneath to see what it looks like here. I mean, to me that's pretty sturdy. Granted, there's no direct line from the eyelet to the bolts up there, so that's kind of my concern. It is sturdy, but that little inner voice that says things need to be triangulated and straight lined is a little bit echoing in the background there. Anyway, bzz, 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 bzz. Another day in the Empire of Dirt. Yesterday I managed to finish welding, or at least what I think is the finished welding. I didn't have time to make it look very pretty, and I didn't have time to paint it, so that's going to be on the agenda today. Without further waffling, I'll go dance with the angle grinder and start making things pretty. I have now given them a little bit of TLC, mainly chamfered the edges and countersunk some of the holes and done little details like that. Before I slap some paint on them, I think I want to put them on the truck just to see what they look like. You know, for narcissistic reasons. Hey, they still fit. Excellent. So I think this is gonna be good enough for an old army truck at least. I guess it's easiest to see them now when they are like this rather than when they are painted satin black. So yeah, they fit well and they seem sturdy enough. So I guess that it kind of fulfills the criteria. And before you start foaming at the mouth, we will put longer bolts in there, just for peace of mind. I have just applied the rust converter on the tow hooks. I must say that it's a really satisfying job to see the steel go black like that. It's a very thin liquid, so you kind of just slather it on and then suddenly looks like this, and it's nice to know that there's no rust growing in the little pores or whatever, so very satisfying. Gonna wait a little bit and then it's paint time. Okay, boys and girls, it's now been several weeks since I painted these. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to source the correct bolts. For the ones that are common with the rear crossmember, I wanted to have slightly longer bolts so that we had just enough threads on the nut. They are a little bit too short. I think that the thread amount is still correct, but you know, just to make it perfect. The other ones that go on the side of the frame, I have coarse thread 8.8 bolts and I wanted 10.9 bolts in the medium thread. They haven't arrived, I can't find them and so forth. So we're just gonna have to put it together as we have it. Hopefully I will find the correct bolts and I will not forget to change them and everything will be tickety-boo in the long run. But for now, when these are not needed, I think it's okay to just put them on there as is. If you're upset about the rusty bolts there, don't worry about it. We're going to paint and fix all of this once everything is done around here. I find that it's not much point in trying to rust proof and paint and do stuff like that, and then you come here and then you use the tools and things and you scratch these and the paint starts flaking again. Much better to just paint over it when it's done. And just to make sure that you know everything about everything, these shackles are what's called 3 3/4 ton shackles. They are rated at the lifting capacity as the double, which means that one of these shackles could lift the whole Mog. They also have a safety factor of 6, which means that before they break, we would have to tie together 3 Unimogs and lift from one shackle. Thank you very much to Victor for recommending them. Thank you, really appreciate it. Personally, I have no shackle knowledge. And there you have it, 2 recovery points on the back of the truck. Let's hope someone can pull my stupidity out of a ditch or something like that using these. And if someone needs any help, maybe I can tow them to a safe place. Let's hope they work for that. And as you can see, pretty good clearance here under the wheel. So I think this project can be ticked off and done. Now on to the next one. I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. There's plenty more to do.